What's going on, everybody? This is Brendan and Chris back again with Neuway Media doing another RED Komodo test. Today we're doing a low light test, obviously. We're out here at night on the roof of Neuway Media headquarters in Hollywood, and we're gonna go out on the street and try out some low light tests, basically. Our first test is gonna be just shooting the buildings from up here. Obviously, there's gonna be a lot of highlights that will expose properly, but really we wanna see how the shadows are gonna be handled. And ultimately, we're going to be pushing this camera to the test. So the point is to see where this camera breaks down, what ISOs are usable and what ISOs aren't.
We'll be shooting at f4 and at f2.8. We will be cycling with some pro mist, quarter pro mist, some non-pro mist, and all the ISO levels from top to bottom. And yeah, that's it.
All right, let's do it. Cool. All right, first shot of the night. That bokeh looks amazing on my shot. So what are your settings in this one?
800, f4, no pro mist. Took it off. It was just kind of blooming all the high density lights together. And
yeah.
It was kind of making it blurry.
Totally. Okay, so no pro mist, f4, 800 ISO for the first one.
Yeah.
I guess we're just trying to see, a lot of your shadows are probably going to be completely underexposed clipping, so we're just trying to see what the noise level is at 800. And,
oh yeah,
and you also just did a black
slamming the
shape,
left,
so.
all high, all stop lights.
Okay.
We're crushing this image.
Cool.
All right, so here we are outside the El Capitan Theater. What we decided to do here was shoot in 3 different ISOs. First, we started at 3200 ISO, and in post, we pushed it a stop of exposure. Then we shot at 1600 ISO and pushed it 2 stops in post. And finally we did 800 ISO, pushing it 3 stops in post. So first here you'll see the 3200 ISO test. And then after we show you this, we crop in on it 200% so you can really see the noise. It's a little bit hard with YouTube compression here to see the noise, so hopefully cropping in on it helps you guys get a better idea of what the noise actually looks like. This is the best we can do, unfortunately. But yeah, so we did 3200 ISO, then we go to 1600 ISO. All of this was a shot at f4 for this first round of tests. Basically, we kept the f-stop a little bit lower than wide open, so that way we could get a little bit more underexposed, a little bit more clipping in the shadows to, again, push this camera to the extreme. Here we are cropping in at 1600 ISO, so you can see that noise again. And again, we pushed this 2 stops brighter than when it was in camera in post. So that way, we're sort of just pushing that noise even a little bit more to the extreme. And then of course we pushed 800 ISO the most. We pushed it 3 stops. Here it is cropped in 2 times, so you can see that.
All right, so now we are sitting out front of the In-N-Out. We figured this will be good because there's some cool neon lights that will expose easily, but then also lots of shadows. We can test how well the shadows look in different ISO settings.
So I also am doing a black shade. So the previous shot at El Capitan actually wasn't a black shaded shot. I completely spaced on it. So I figured that would affect the shadows. We'll see if it makes a difference. So that's what we're doing right now before we hit this shot. So everything moving forward will be post black shade, which is actually another good test.
Yeah, true. We did that on purpose. I would go to 32 again and then just work your way down. Because I'm at 4000 right now and it looks nice at f4.
So the next thing I want to note about this test is obviously this isn't a truly scientific test by any stretch of the imagination, but what we wanted to do was put this Komodo through a real-world example of like the absolute worst-case scenario you might ever find yourself in. And with YouTube compression, it might be a little bit difficult to actually see what's going on here, so we'll just do our best to describe it to you. And I think it's pretty clear that obviously this isn't a low-light camera. It's not meant for using in these conditions. True cinema cameras are notoriously thirsty for light, but I think the Komodo handles this pretty well, all things considered.
This is going to be the most extreme lighting example yet that we're trying. And it's going to be this street, and I'm going to stand in the foreground, and Chris is going to do the best you can. I gotta say, the S1H looks great.
Alright, so here we are for our final location of the night. This is the darkest location that we had, and we finally did this at f2.8, so you can see the difference between f2.8 and f4. Now, a couple things to point out here that we noticed, especially in this final test. First of all, the small noise grain size is pretty impressive, so I think that's mostly due to the resolution of having 6K. It keeps the noise grain itself pretty small, which helps for, even in your high ISO settings, it's not too ridiculous and large and noticeable. Also, along those same lines, there's very little fixed pattern noise, even beyond 3200 ISO, which is a problem with previous REDs we've used in the past. So to see virtually no fixed pattern noise is a huge plus. And then finally, and you'll see in this last test at 6400 ISO, even pushing it all the way to 6400, we still don't really see any color shifting in the shadows whatsoever. It basically looks the same as it did in all the other tests from a color perspective, which is, again, comparing to other REDs, pretty impressive. So that's it for our low light Komodo tests. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed, please leave a like and let us know in the comments. Stay tuned for our future content, and we'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.